So this particular asset that we chose, I just made it a nice round number. You get some money back when you sell it. So what we're saying is, look, all the costs associated with buying it totaled $36,000. That includes shipping, installation, everything to get it placed in service. And then when I'm done with it, it's going to be worth $5,000. That's what I expect to receive when I sell it. So the first function that I'm going to show you is straight line. And what that's saying is I expect to use it up at about the same rate every year. At the end of the first year, it's going to be worth 4/5 of what it was to begin with. As a practical expedient in the real world, most people will just use this anyway. So even if, for example, this was a car and after the first year, it's really worth half of what it was, just use straight line. I'm going to press F2 and that's going to bring up the formula. So you can see the straight line function takes cost, salvage value, and life into account. In the way that I built these functions, I don't have to retype them every time, so they're looking in the cells up above. And as you look at the straight line one, there's no input for period because it doesn't matter what the period is, it's always going to be the same. So this is just the cost for 1/5 of it, because it says the life is 5 years. This actually could be 5 months and it would be the same. Just be 1/5, 1/5, 1/5. So the straight line function would be relatively easily changed out with just arithmetic, but as you get into the accelerated methods, it's handy not to have to type it out. So next I'm going to go into declining balance, and you can see I built this formula so that it looks up the period from the left-hand column. So if you're doing this and you're doing it for a different period, make sure you still drag down the period on the left. So it's a similar construct otherwise: cost, salvage, life, and then the period. You can also add an additional input, which I didn't do in this example, which is a month. And you use that month field if you placed it in service not on January 1st. So if you did it, use the beginning of the month convention. Say you did it in March, just act like it's March 1st. This would be a 10, so it would do 10 out of 12 months. I'm going to go to a website that, of course, I find to be pretty helpful. That's going to show us a little bit more about how this function works and why you want to use it. All you have to do is take one look at these formulas and realize, oh, I'm just going to use the function. This is what declining balance is doing with the different inputs. You don't need to think about that. All you need to know is that it calculates depreciation faster at first, slower in the beginning. And when you compare it to some of these others, the rate is a little bit different. Choose which one makes most sense to you. Do keep in mind though, for bookkeeping purposes, for whatever reason, the declining balance function isn't self-balancing. It doesn't really know that it's not rounded properly. So you'll always have to plug it at the end if you don't want any accumulated depreciation left on the asset. The double declining balance is actually a much simpler formula, as you can see here. We'll go back to the spreadsheet. Double declining balance, like the name says, depreciates it even faster in the beginning and slower in the end. In this particular example, it's already done after year 4. So year 5 is going to have a 0 depreciation expense. So look at the formula for double declining balance. It's very similar to the inputs for declining balance. And one of the differences is the last input is called factor, and that's how you can change the speed of it. I left it out to make this example simple, but you can make it go faster or slower by changing that. I think the default is 2. It's 14,400. If you go in here and change it to 2, it's still 14,400. If you make it 2.5, it's 18,000. Now the ones below I didn't change, so it doesn't balance right now. To be careful. If I go back to sheetshelp.com, it shows the formula for sum of the year's digits. The sum of the years function is down here. It's kind of tricky how it works. In my mind, I don't think it really matters that much. Just look at the pattern. If it's a pattern that you think represents how your asset wears out, go ahead and use it. Let's just play around with these functions a little bit. The salvage value, a lot of times you just may say, yeah, look, it's 0. When it's done with it, I don't care. I'm going to donate it, I'm going to recycle it, throw it away, make it 0. That's all well and good for straight line. Declining balance just doesn't like that. It doesn't calculate right. So if you're using declining balance, you need to have salvage value. Something unexpected also happens in double declining balance. It doesn't come down to the right amount. So you have to have salvage value in that as well. Sum of the year's digits seems to work fine. So if I put a salvage value back in and I just put a smaller one in, still be careful. It looks like straight line, declining balance, and sum of the year's digits works, but double declining balance doesn't. So let's put 5,000 back in there. These are all reasonably working. And let's just do something to see which ones are going faster or slower. For that, I'll do conditional formatting. For that, I'm going to go to the color scale for conditional formatting, and I'm going to put kind of a heat map on it. The red's going to be the fastest, green's going to be the slowest. I'm going to take that formatting and I'm going to apply it to the other cells. And this is easy to see. So straight line, it's always the same. It's always the same color. Double declining balance goes faster in the beginning and a lot slower at the end. Declining balance and the sum of the year's digits are in the middle. So hopefully that gives you a nice overview. You can see which one you might want to use and how to easily use it. If you like this tutorial, there's a lot more like them that get published, and you can see them if you subscribe in the lower right hand corner. Thanks.